Welcome, I'm the DeadwoodJedi. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. We're on the free-to-play today, but we're going to be talking about some stuff that is free-to-play related, but also not. We've got a new fusion champion coming in. I want to talk about that. We've got a bunch of these Path of Spring events. I think that's what they're called. And I want to talk about that a little bit in relation to running my free-to-play. And so that's what we're going to do today. It is day 108 right now on my free-to-play. We did successfully, one key Hydra last week. And so that was really good. I guess that was a couple days ago for me. And so I'm feeling really good about my team, but obviously we've got some stuff incoming. So let's first take a minute and we're going to talk about this new fusion champion. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one that comes out. And of course, if you enjoyed today's music, we have that SoundStripe link down below in the pinned comment description of this video, and you can use code DeadwoodJedi to save 15%. Fusion champion I want to talk about is Jetney the Giant, obviously new coming into the game. This is very, very clearly a DPS champion, an arena-based champion, but might have some interesting usage in other areas of this game. And that's kind of what I want to focus on a little bit, because there are a ton of arena nukers out there. If you guys don't have one, you're not playing the game. I don't know what else to tell you. We have them even available in the clan shop. You can always go and get yourself a Yannicka. Yannicka is a really good champion, really good arena nuker. They're all throughout this game. If you have the Amazon Prime thing, you probably got Genbo. Genbo's a great arena nuker. There's a lot of variety there. So that's never a champion. That's never a role that I'm really looking to fill on my teams, because I'm generally going to have those champions. I'm just waiting to see which is the best option I have to use. This is still probably going to be a really good one, right? Haven't tested her, and as always, until we do, we never fully know how strong a champion is going to be. But I can tell just by looking at her right now, the chances that this is going to be a champion that we're absolutely going to want to get is very slim. I would probably put it at 0. I can tell you my free-to-play will not be endeavoring to get her. I don't think she's necessary unless something crazy happens on the test server and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, you know what? This maybe is a champion that I want to get. But in all likelihood, Jetney is going to be a pretty average champion to have. Not bad, probably better than not, right? It's a legendary, so you're not going to be, hurting if you do get her. But anyway, let's go over her kit so we understand what she does, right? First off, she's got an A1 double hitter. That's always nice, with a stun on the first hit and a decreased defense on the second. Both of them, when booked, is a 50% chance to land. That's a pretty good A1 ability right there, right? Decreased defense, stun, those are both valuable skills to have, and you don't usually see much on an A1 skill. The only thing that makes me nervous about that is when they put those kind of debuffs on an A1 skill, the multipliers of that skill are usually a little bit lower. And so that to me says that could be a bit of a problem. And I should mention before we get into it, she's spirit based, which is great. That's good for those red affinity champions that are out there. Like a Pythion, like I don't even know who else would be a good example of that, but they're good for those. And it's going to be fine against duchesses, the like neutral affinity. She's an attack-based champion though, and that is for someone named the Giant. I would have really preferred to have her be HP based. And the reason why I would prefer that is that would allow her to be a lot more useful as a tanky champion. Somebody like a Mountain King, right? Someone that can, hopefully hold out a little bit better than otherwise. So that's the only thing that I find a little bit disappointing about this champion. That said, we'll have to see. We can't really know how good she is until we fully get into it. Her A2 ability, AoE, ignores 20% of each target's defense, has a 75% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. This debuff cannot be resisted if Alsgore Crimsonhorn is on the same team. What a name, right? So what does this mean? Well, it means that 1, if Alsgore is good, this champion could be extremely valuable for us. If Alsgore is good and if you get him. Without Alsgore, it's an AoE hit, that's always great, and ignores 20% of each target's defense with a chance of placing, books up to 100% chance of placing decreased defense. So you have an AoE damage dealing champion. Ignoring defense is always valuable. That is the one thing that she has that makes her much better for arena. And then ignoring and then placing decreased defense makes her actually a pretty solid setup champion if you need that as well. You know, one question we'd have to answer by, you know, playing and testing her is, does the decreased defense get placed first or does it get placed second? That's going to be really interesting. Is the decreased defense, does it place on a weak hit? Like, and this is again, does it place first or place second? This is an important consideration. If it places first and it's not, and it will place through a weak hit, this makes her a lot valuable for things like Hydra. All of a sudden, maybe even Clan Boss. I mean, I think she's already going to be pretty decent for any damage, you know, needing things for like Clan Boss and Unkillable Team. I think she'd already be pretty solid for that, but that'll make a big difference. So I'm really interested to see like how this works out. AoE decreased defense is always valuable to some extent anyway. Ignoring 20% defense is always valuable to some extent. So this could be a pretty solid champion. And if you know, you pair her with Alsgore, not needing accuracy because it can't be resisted actually makes her a much more viable champion, because now you don't have to build any accuracy, you can build her completely for damage, and that can make a pretty big difference. So could be an interesting champion in that sense. Towering Might, the A3, AoE, but it's a double hitter, which can be good, but probably they're just going to lower the multipliers to, you know, account for that. Before attacking, places increased crit rate and crit damage buff on this champion for 2 turns. So I'll be honest, that's not a bad skill, right? But, you know, if you're trying to use her in something like Arena, you're going to have to evaluate which skill is going to hit harder, that A2 or the A3, because would you prefer to ignore 20% of the enemy's defense or prefer to get those buffs on your champion? And that can be, you know, an interesting thing. It does grant an extra turn if this attack kills an enemy when Alsgore is on the same team. So in Arena, you know, when you can build a straight up nuke champion, right? Like a, you know, Trunda level nuke champion, banking on killing an enemy isn't ridiculous, right? Depending on what the enemy's defense, what the enemy team is doing, that actually is not impractical. And so if you can go in from one AoE to the second AoE just by having Alsgore on your team, all of a sudden that becomes a much better ability, and her kit overall becomes a lot more useful. So there is some interesting potential there. And then the passive ability inflicts 20% more damage against targets under shield buffs and ignores shield buffs if Alsgore is on the same team. So this is great, right? This is a very nice counter to something like, what's it called? Bolster sets, right? That are very common, you know, where you have these shield buffs that can't be stripped. Well, now you don't have to worry about removing those. You actually can ignore hitting them at all, because if you have Alsgore, you're going to ignore those shields completely. So this is where I can see her being actually pretty darn strong for Arena, right? Ignoring shields completely, you know, because of that, a lot of champions that should survive maybe won't. Maybe you can get that extra turn in, have a double AoE ability, and you're ignoring shields on every one of your hits. That's a pretty strong skill right there. So there's definitely a lot to like about Jetni, I think. Definitely somebody that I'd be interested in. Now, of course, with so much stone skin in Arena, how useful is she going to be? That is a very arguable point. So I'm not sure about that. But in any case, she does seem like a champion that could be pretty good for us. If you have the resources to get her, as always, you have the opportunity to get a legendary champion, you get them, right? That's not even a question. This might be somebody like on my free-to-play, on my main account, that I'll be interested in getting, but I don't think this is going to be a champion that you're going to want to break the bank for. We'll see. Obviously, you know, we never know until we fully test a champion, but that's my first inclination. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about today are these events and tournaments that we have going on. So we have all these kind of interesting events here, and the one that I'm most interested in, there's a couple of them, right? We got this artifact enhancement one, right, where you get some you can get some, you know, superior potions. One of the things I'm interested about with these is they seem to be offering very themed rewards, right? That one has those potions, the oils for ascending your gear. The champion training one, which I'm actually really interested in, has a bunch of soul coins and soul shards, which is also kind of interesting. And then, you know, we've got some tournaments up here, right? We got the Fire Knight tournament going on. This also has some soul shards as the top reward, and potions, which is like awful as a reward. I don't know, like, honestly, these first 5 are all really terrible. They're all terrible rewards. This is, in fact, maybe one of the worst tournaments I've ever seen in my life. And I'll be ignoring it. I'll be ignoring it completely. I don't see any value just pushing for one of these stall stones up at the top. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but hey, you know, they're trying something a little different. I'm sure they'll see how people react to that. What I do think is interesting, the tag arena one, again, potions suck. The energy's not terrible. The barrel, yeah, these are all terrible. These are also terrible rewards. Now the arena tournament, the tag team stuff isn't usually that hard to do. It just takes a little bit more dedication to it. But again, these are terrible rewards. I don't know that this is something I'm even going to want to do. I am always looking for more energy, and so, you know, if I can get some of the energy things, that's not a bad thing. I definitely won't be upset, but those seem like kind of wasteful. So the one I'm most excited about is this champion training one, right? Because especially on a free-to-play, it's kind of hard to get these coins. Pretty difficult to get them in general. And so if I can get some ways to get some extra ones, even some soul essence up here, this all of a sudden becomes more useful, and it dovetails nicely into what I want to do with my team already. So that's kind of a, you know, a really nice benefit there. So one of the things I'm probably going to be doing is focusing the next few days on just ranking up champions, leveling up champions, because I still have a bunch of champions that I want to rank up. Razzlevarg is top among them. Ugo is high up there. Even Genbo and Urogrim, Razin. So you can see I got a lot of champions that I want to rank up. This isn't even all of them. These are just the ones that are kind of prepped and ready to go. But obviously I have a lot more champions on my account. Even in my vault, I have more than a few champions that I've been really excited about, like Dahi and Sinestral. Even, you know, somebody as simple as Fellhound. These are champions that I would, in Grizzle Jarl, that I would really value ranking up to 6 stars, but obviously I'm not there yet. You know, that becomes a bit of a, that's a hard thing to do as on a free-to-play account. So I need to prioritize, and you know, that's going to be one of the things. So I do have some food kind of working right now, but I need to get more of it. That's going to be a big focus on my side of things. And so I think that's going to dovetail really nicely with the champion training event, with the Dungeon Diver event that should be coming up soon, and hopefully the Dungeon Diver has some nice rewards. I will say though, these events and tournaments are kind of like warm-up things, right? They're nothing big. None of them are really exciting for me. I'll be honest, like none of them get me going, ooh, I can't wait to do these tournaments. They all seem pretty lackluster as far as rewards go. So when it comes to that, when the rewards aren't great, I like to stay focused on what I want to do with my account and just see if it can dovetail into what's already being offered. If I can get bonus stuff over the work that I'm already doing, that's great. That's just a win. I'm not going to focus on those events and those tournaments because they're not going to reward me for that kind of focus and time spent. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Yeah, the account's doing, I think, really good. Obviously we hit, you know, our first Hydra goal, which is 1 king normal. Now we need to move on to hard, and I still want to, and then create a second normal team so that I can 1-key both of them. That's kind of the ideal. So it's gonna be a little tricky, obviously, getting there, but Royal Guard was massive. I finally finished masteries on both Royal Guard and on Molly, right? And so we're gonna be looking at, I need to start looking at ways to better both of those champions, better that team as a whole. Getting Razzlevarg, I think, is going to be a huge boon on that route to, you know, perfecting these teams. And so it's just a step at a time kind of thing right now. So that's all I'm looking to do at the moment, is kind of continue to build one step at a time with all of these things and continue to grind it up. Yeah, hopefully at the end of all this, we're going to have one heck of a free-to-play account. So I'm very excited about this. I think we're like really starting to work for and towards some really good goals here. So I don't know if you guys are interested in Jetney. I'm going to be skipping her on my free-to-play for sure. Resources requirements is going to be a little bit too high, I think, and my main focus needs to be on leveling the champions I already have. I don't have the, what is it, 5, 10, 12 books that would be needed to make Jetney really viable anyway, and she doesn't seem like somebody that's going to be a game changer for me and my account when it comes to arena. I think she is going to be good though. Definitely, if you have the opportunity to get her, I would encourage you getting her. But I don't think she's going to be somebody that's going to be account changing. And for a free to play, I really feel the fusions that you cannot skip are the ones that are account changing. And so if you don't have that built up reserve of resources, you kind of need to wait for those account changing champions to come by. And so my account, we're not there yet, right? I need to be able to 2-key Ultra Nightmare so I can guarantee those chests. Our clan isn't taking down Ultra Nightmare every week, so I'm not getting double rewards. Until those things really happen, I'm not going to be able to build up enough of a reserve of resources, whether that's shards or gems or whatever, to really be able to push for every one of these fusion events. Especially not with the time I'm able and willing to commit to this, right? Got more than a few plates I'm juggling. So in the meantime, though, I feel like we're doing pretty good here, and I'm excited to see how this fusion goes. I'm excited to try and test this champion out and see if they're worth building or not. Anyway, guys, that's what we got for today. Kind of a easy breezy kind of video. So hopefully you're having a wonderful day. Hopefully your weekend is even better until next we meet. I'm the Deadwood Jedi.